Hello guys, gals and gamers, and hey, did you know that the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct happened like almost a week ago, or maybe a week ago? I don't know when this video is coming out. But as many people have been talking about that, hey, did you know that Nintendo Switch 2 prices are bad? I want to talk about something entirely different, and that is a game that was revealed in the Direct that is a completely new IP that no one just cares about, like dead silence. I have not seen anyone talk about it on social media. There is zero buzz on this whole game, and even seen like Nintendo influencers completely forgetting that this game exists. And this game is Drag X Drive, the game where you're in a wheelchair and play basketball. I think that's a cool idea for Nintendo to do. The idea of the game sounds good on paper. It does look a little bit like a Rocket League clone, but you know, Nintendo could use one of those. Sure, why not if they do something different with it. But let's take a look in this video. What makes Drag X Drive so bad and forgettable that I had to Google what the game's name was? Okay, so let's start talking about Drag X Drive by looking at its name. And I feel like Nintendo went to a laboratory to manufacture the most blandest name they could imagine. They asked like 3 million times from ChatGPT, like, hey, give me the blandest name idea for a game about wheelchair basketball. And this is what they came up with, somehow. And let's actually dissect this name, word by word. So, first of all, we have drag. What are you dragging? Are you dragging me to play this game? I hope not. And if you mention the word drag, it reminds me in this context of two things. It reminds me of drag racing, which this definitely isn't, and drag racing, which this still isn't. And this is not like either of those things. I am very confused. Why do you have drag in there? Is it just because you're kind of like dragging the Joy-Cons even though you're pushing them, you're not dragging them? That's the opposite thing what you're doing. Like, I don't understand why drag is in there. I just don't get it. The other word that appears in this name is drive. Again, makes me think about drag racing, the first one. But you're not driving anything. You're not in a vehicle. Kind of. I don't know. I've never heard anyone refer at a wheelchair as a vehicle, you know? I've never heard anyone say, yeah, let me just drive my wheelchair there. That's not what people say, at least as far as I know of. It's just confusing. You're not driving anything. You're just going with your wheelchair. So it doesn't apply to this game. It would make sense if this was, you know, a Rocket League clone that you would, you know, drive a vehicle, but you don't really drive a wheelchair. Like, what were you thinking? And the final part of this is just having the X in the middle. As we have learned in the last couple of years, X can be a really bad letter, and dumb people like it. But at the same time, I feel like we've had so many games or TV shows or whatever with like X in the middle as like a stylistic choice. Like, hey, these two are combined or something like that. As comparison with Daemon X Machina, which was another game that was featured in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, again giving more confusion to the name Drag X Drive. People are even more confused now. Fun. But TV shows as well, Spy X Family, Hunter X Hunter, or something like that. It's not like a unique thing, it's just confusing in this context because again, you don't have drag and you don't have driving in this game. So what? And if you were to compare this to the best comparison this game could ever have, when ARMS, again, released on a Nintendo console that was in its launch year, a brand new IP that was a bit experimental. Even ARMS, I get it, it's a bad name as well. That is clear. But at least it was short and sweet, making it kind of memorable at least. Not SEO friendly, but kind of okay. But still, I feel like it's better than Drag X Drive because at least I remember ARMS after all of these years. I remember that game, and it had a stupid name, but at least I remember that name. Next, let's talk a little bit about how the game just looks. And Nintendo games, usually, if you just play a random Nintendo game, they look colorful, they look bright, they look happiness inducing, unless you're playing, Fire Emblem or Twilight Princess or something like that. There's variance in there, of course. But this one is special. This one is special among any Nintendo game they have ever released because this is clearly one of the dullest looking Nintendo games I've ever seen. The playing field just looks like concrete, just grey, boring concrete. The character designs, they all look the same. They all have a black wheelchair, black suits, and black helmets. I'm astonished if people would even know what character they are playing if it weren't for the faintest splash of color on the characters. It's such like a bizarre decision. There's no like unique aesthetic here, there's no personality. It just feels like a kind of a cheap Steam indie game that you would think like half of it is a set flip. You know? This doesn't feel like a polished Nintendo game with like an idea from it. This just feels bland. Honestly, I was surprised that this was a Nintendo game. I thought it was like an indie game that Nintendo commissioned like some guy to make. But doesn't look great. And like the presentation isn't that great either. ARMS, again, I'm comparing it to ARMS because first of all, more people should play ARMS. Second of all, I think it's a really good like comparison point to this game. It had personality, it had like cool music, it had cool presentation, even in the menu, even like in sound effects, even like visual effects. This is also bland. Like, look at this clip of a player scoring a point or goal or a basket or whatever the hell you guys say in the basketball world. Just look at this. What the hell was that? Like, the most pathetic pyrotechnics coming like out of thin air. I could do better. Like I'm a designer, not like a programmer or like an artist or anything. I barely know how to use Unity, but I could do better than this. I could do cooler particle effects for when you score a point in your sports game. Like, what's going on here? This is like confusing to me. I don't get it. And then let's talk about the gameplay. I feel like where ARMS succeeded was in how simple to understand the gameplay was. It's basically just Wii Sports Boxing Edition with steroids. Long arms, all you have to do is grab the two Joy-Cons and pew, pew, pew. Easy. And I'll give it to Drag X Drive. It's also like simple. Just you probably can understand how a wheelchair works. It might not be as easy to understand to people than being in a wheelchair. I think most people have maybe punched something in their life, but most people have not been in a wheelchair in their life. I have. It was fun. People get how the movement goes, you just do this. But I feel like, with arms, you're not like punching for 3 minutes straight. You're just like punching, looking forward, and looking for a good, time to punch the opponent. While I feel like in Drag X Drive, you would have to like move constantly, and like doing this all the time, I feel like it would get really tiring. I would not be able to, play that many rounds in a row. I feel like two or three at most of just doing like this all the time. It would feel awkward. And then again, I'm kind of conflicted on the whole use Joy-Cons as a mouse thing because I don't always have a Surface with me, you know? It's a cool idea. I like it. I get it. But at the same time, using it as one of the gameplay focuses on your game, I don't think it's a good idea. It can be a good option. For example, if you don't want to use the touchscreen, you can just use it as kind of a mouse to click on all of the menus. I think in there it works fine. But if I'm like on the go or just playing in bed or something like that where I'm not using the Nintendo Switch on the TV or on a Surface, I feel like how am I supposed to play this game now? If there is another way to play this game where you just, use the joysticks to go around, I feel like people would just play it that way, Screw the motion controls, they are tiring and bad. I'll just use the joysticks, that's what I would do. The only thing I really want to say at this point anymore is that people have been complaining about the Nintendo Switch 2 prices, which I get it, they're even worse in Europe, especially the northern countries. But I am terrified to see what kind of price they will slap on to Drag X Drive. Will it be the same worth as Welcome Tour? Or will Nintendo just fucking go insane and try to, make this seem like a standard game? Is it going to be 60 euros, dollars, 60 yen? I feel like could be an appropriate price point for this game, but I just don't get this game. I'm okay with like, I think it's cool that they are in a wheelchair, you could make a good game out of this. And it's a neat idea that I think having Nintendo work on could be great, but unfortunately this game just does not do it. And I don't think Nintendo can really salvage this situation. Like, it's not the end of the world for Nintendo. They've had, forgettable games before. But this one just stuns me on how much it just feels like they didn't even try. And that is weird. I don't think they could fix the situation by showing more gameplays, showing new stages. Character customization would be nice to see, at least have something to tell the characters apart. But I don't think you can do anything to make people care anymore. It's just such a dead-on arrival, dead-on reveal game that it's weird. It is a bit weird. No one's gonna, be excited to play this. I've never seen, like, complete silence over, like, a Nintendo game. It's interesting. But, what do you think about Drag X Drive? Do you like it? Why? And if you, like it for some reason, just comment down below. I'll look at the comments and laugh at you, I guess. But I have nothing else to say here, so I'll just see you guys later. Bye bye.